What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. We got a good amount to catch up with. Apple had their peak performance event. Mac Rumors did a 7-minute video on everything Apple announced in 7 minutes. Thank you to Mac Rumors. We'll actually look at that today in this video, and then we'll just discuss about the Apple event and stuff like that. And I did not want to do that. Oh Lord. If I could not have bugs, I'd be so happy. I would actually jump up and down in joy if I could not have nice, lovely problems. But here we are. We have everything set up for the most part, and we're good to go here. So give me one more sec to get that rolling. Now, there are some stuff new. Hey, Nikita, that is new in the live chat, where we're going to prevent some stuff happening and clean up this channel and everything else. So across all my networks, things are being cleaned up. So, I hope my audience that actually is legit and real to me and my, moderators and actually does not abuse the system. Hi, I hope y'all like this setup.
Learn more
And
but
stuff like
welcome to
that.
Live Chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guideline.
So we're working on that stuff. So we're going to get into that video right now. I will actually leave a link in the description to the Mac Rumor stuff. Give me one sec.
Voiceover on fine.
While we
Messages,
pull that up.
Trash, 30th, separator, Brave, 28, Apple's Mac Studio event, everything, Finder.
So here we are, Apple's Mac Studio event.
Voiceover off.
Let me full screen this so we have a full visual coverage. Give me one sec to straighten this out. And get out of here, you're watching YouTube Focus. 1707. I don't like you right now. And it's gonna not cooperate. That's
Voiceover on
cute.
Safari, Apple's vertical slitter. Apple's Mac Studio, roll to expect, roll for it, roll, search, and search with create, YouTube notification account, and banner, main, comment, YouTube, 0 minutes, 0 seconds to set, YouTube video player, group.
All right, there we go.
Begin text. Add a comment, edit text.
No, it's not what I wanted to do.
Cancel button, add a comment, edit, cancel button.
Cancel.
Page 1 of 5. You are voiceover off.
Not gonna let me full screen. Are you kidding me?
Everything Apple announced at its spring peak performance event. So Tim Cook took to the stage to start the show off with some updates around Apple TV Plus content, and also introduce a new partnership with Major League Baseball in which the streaming service will now carry.
All right, so we had the streaming service. Apple's made a partnership. There's Tim Cook. He made a partnership with Apple. I'll leave a link to the Mac Rumors video in the description.
Voiceover off.
So yeah.
Took to the stage to start the show off with some updates around Apple TV Plus content, and also introduce a new partnership with Major League Baseball in which the streaming service will now carry 2 exclusive games for what Apple calls Friday Night Baseball. Moving on.
I don't really care that much about baseball. That's my personal preference, but cool. I mean, that's nice. Let me go grab that link while we're at it. But now we have baseball on Apple TV Plus. I actually do not have Apple TV Plus. I just never cared to actually get it on the device and stuff like, I didn't even care to buy into it to get the. No, get out of here with your stupid Volkswagen. All right, give me a sec to put that in the. Here we go.
The iPhone, we got new iPhone 13 and 13 Pro colors. Just a simple green for the 13, and then what?
We got a simple green iPhone for the 13, like how they did with the 12, and then now they did something to the Pro models.
Apple calls Alpine Green for the 13 Pro. Sticking with iPhones, we expected this.
The 13 Pro Max did not get a color favorite. It did not get a color feature, which I mean, it is what it is. Mac Rumors video, comma. All right.
Voiceover. Rumors video. 8 are the videos that I reacted to. Rumors video. HTTPS insertion point at start. Cap P. Words.
Really?
Rumors video. Are the videos low? Me on Twitter here. Misspelled. Text field is editing. Powered by Restream HTTPS:////rester m/like insertion point. Powered by and opinion if on if Apple today on unsub recap and opinion and thought my peers testers soon developer fifth iOS/YT unsub iOS unselected delete selection deleted powered by delete
Quit lagging.
iOS I figures of and upgrade test super and opinion and recap on. Today Apple event return me on Twitter on me follow event Apple today on today Apple event period return follow me on Twitter here comma return r here comma return r the video the cap react to Matt rumors video comma http auto peer piece fourth attachment.
I don't know why it's acting up. That is really messed up.
Edit thumbnail. Save changes. But save changes.
I wonder if that's a YouTube thing.
Voiceover off.
But here we are.
Happened, and Apple announced its next generation iPhone SE. The new iPhone SE features the same 4.7-inch display as the current model, but now offers the toughest glass in a smartphone on the front and back, the same as on the back of the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro. The device's new 12-megapixel camera system features computational photography, including support for deep fusion and smart HDR. Again,
the normal, typical nonsense of Apple.
The new iPhone SE contains the same A15 Bionic chip as the 13.
It's got the same 4.7-inch design. It just got upgraded internals with an A15. 5G included. I don't know if the edges are squared off.
And 13 Pro. With a 6-core CPU, the A15 Bionic means that the iPhone SE is 1.8 times faster than the iPhone 8. The 16-core neural engine aimed at machine learning tasks performs 15.8 trillion operations per second, making it 26 times faster than the iPhone 8. And
normal, just Greek language.
26 times faster than 4-core GPU delivers 2.2 times faster speeds than the iPhone 8. The new iPhone SE is available in 2 new colors, Midnight and Starlight, alongside Product Red. The iPhone SE starts at $429 this year, which is up from $399 on the 2020 model. Pre-orders begin on Friday.
Which that was expected considering everything with, what's going on right now, price hikes and stuff like that. That was to be expected.
With the first devices shipping on March 18th. And I almost forgot, it does support 5G connectivity as well. Next.
So the iPhone SE, if you're in the market for an iPhone SE, ships on pre-order start this Friday and it will ship March 18th.
Up was the iPad Air, and
this product here is really getting my attention. The iPad Air.
The same design as the previous model, but the surprise here is that Apple is now including the M1 chip inside of these new iPad Air models. In terms of the M1's pure performance, the 8-core CPU delivers up to 60% faster performance, and the 8-core GPU delivers up to 2 times faster.
Oh boy, it's got the 8-core GPU variant. Oh boy. Now I'm kind of tempted because like the GPU on this thing is great and everything, but I just don't want, I want 2 devices that have the same, almost performance as each other in a tablet and in the Mac for video editing and getting more content out to y'all, but also working on other video projects around the studio.
Graphics performance compared to the previous generation iPad Air, according to Apple. It's available in a new array of colors. The iPad Air also features Apple's ultra-wide front camera.
All right, we got some chats.
17, 13, Mark Archer, iPad Air in blue.
Yeah, the iPad Air in blue. Yeah, that does look good.
17, 13, Mark Archer, got my attention smiley.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Because it's like, I mean, it kind of kills the iPad Pro with M1, especially the 11-inch model.
17, 14, Mark Archer, that blue color is amazing.
center stage for a more natural video conferencing experience. A USB-C port that's now 2 times faster with transfer speeds and 5G on cellular model.
I'm not going to sit here and complain about the 64 gigs because there's a USB-C port on it. And with that USB-C port, I can connect my external drives to it, just like I can with the Mac. So there's the universal control of using both devices. So I could have the iPad Air 5 and my Mac going at 2 videos at once using universal control in iPadOS 15.4, macOS 12.3, which all the RCs are out. You can go to settings, general, and about our settings, general software update if you've been running the dev or public betas. Public betas should be out. If not, they should be out within the next 24 hours. Someone, if you know, I don't run public betas. I have the dev beta. Um, I noticed something interesting. The download and install over LTE only worked with my T-Mobile SIM. It did work on beta 5 with my Visible, but speaking of Visible, I did not make that video because a emergency came up with a friend passing away, and then I had to take care and help a family member do something on Sunday. So I was not able to edit that video and send it out, or record it, let alone edit and send it out. The other thing is that the AT&T plan that I have now that runs the hotspot and everything, it was not able to download over LTE. It's only able to do it over 5G. Let me know if that's plan specific. It shouldn't be because I have a completely unlimited everything. It says that it needs to connect to a Wi-Fi network to download this update. But if I go into settings, go down to cellular, and then go to the plan, and then change it to 5G auto, and it connects to 5G, hopefully. It should. There, I just did 5G on, and it's still being really weird. Apparently, it's not going to pick it up. All right, so we're on LTE. Give me 1 sec. All right, no, now we're on 5G. So if I go back to settings, general, and then software update, it now gives me the download and install option.
The new iPad Air is priced at $599, which is the same as the previous model, and it comes in space gray, starlight, pink, purple, and a new blue color.
It's called New Blue, apparently. That's what Apple said. I was watching the event, and I honestly like it.
YouTube 17, 16. Mark Archer. I will install iOS 15.4 RC soon on a public beta smiley.
Let me know if it's available, Mark.
Voiceover on YouTube. Video 17, 16. Mark Archer. Is it the same as beta 5? Voiceover off.
iOS 15.4 RC is not the same as beta 5. It's a new build. It's probably got for the iPhone 11, the 13 Pro models probably got that new wallpaper for that new device, which will be cool to check it out in a little bit. But I'm going to do the what's new video for when the actual update does drop for the public. I got to film that video later this afternoon.
The new iPad Air will be available to pre-order on Friday, March 11th, and will start shipping on March 18th.
So you can pre-order the iPad Air 5 on March 11th, as he said, and will ship March 18th. Like I said, it's got my eyes. I'm going to look at prices, and then I may pre-order.
Focus the rest of its attention over to the Mac and the latest addition to its Apple Silicon with the brand new M1 Ultra chip. Now, there's a lot of technical jargon that was thrown around at this event and an absolutely insane speed to follow, but just know that this thing is super fast, like even faster than the already fast M1 Max fast.
I thought you couldn't top the cake after the M1 Max, but oh God, was I wrong. I knew that they're going to do something and take the two M1 Max, the M1 Max chips and slide them together and stuff like that, but I did not expect it to be like that. I was like, dang, 20-core CPU, and well, we went from a 32-core GPU to a 64-core GPU and 128 gigs of RAM.
M1 Ultra consists of two M1 Max chips connected with die-to-die technology called Ultra Fusion. M1 Ultra has a 20-core CPU with 16 high-performance and 4 high-efficiency cores. M1 Ultra supports up to 128 gigs of unified memory, an increase from the 64 gig memory supported by the M1 Pro and M1 Max. In graphics, M1 Ultra has a 64-core GPU, which offers 8 times faster graphics than M1. M1 Ultra has a 32-core neural engine, which can operate 22 trillion operations per second.
I'm just blown away. I really want to see this in the real world, especially this chip, and see what it performs on Geekbench. I want to see the scores and all that.
17, 19, Mark Archer, 569 British pounds, the iPad Air.
Oh, that's a perfect price tag. Oh, dang. That's not actually that expensive.
It has 2 separate media engines. So what computer gets to hold the new M1 Ultra first? Why, the new Mac Studio, of course. This is the big beefy Mac Mini inspired machine that kind of just spurted up in last minute leaks yesterday, and it looks glorious. Apple packed this thing with tons of connectivity, like 2 USB-C ports on the front if you get the M1 Max configuration, or that.
Okay, I don't know why my stream feed is very choppy. Something's up with it. Give me a sec to figure out why. Is this Mac heating up at all? No, it's not. This Mac is staying room temperature. So I don't know why my graphics are lagging. It's not my internet. It could be because this video file is set at probably its highest settings. Let me see if I can bring it down setting wise. Something is causing this, and it's really annoying.
Pop net mute 104.00 auto subtype settings menu pop up collapse button. Wait after normal menu. Subtype quality auto 2004 minutes 0 second quality auto 2001 auto menu 9 items. 2106 14 1 back 720p menu item. Settings menu pop up collapse button. Work.
All right, so hopefully that brings.
Add content. Edit text name. You are currently on text area.
God.
Voiceover off.
Hopefully that brings that buffer down because something's buffering at 4K. It's really choppy.
That changes to 2 Thunderbolt ports for those who have the M1 Ultra, and there's an SD card slot on the front. And I cannot stress enough just how amazing that little design choice is. I'm super happy about that. The back of the machine houses 4 more USB-C, 2 Type-A.
Okay, I did not get to see the price of the Mac Studio because I had to go do some stuff.
1721, Mark Archer. Also, the iOS 15.4 is available to public beta testers. Seen it on MacRumors.
Okay.
Voiceover off.
10 gig Ethernet, 3.5 millimeter high impedance headphone jack, and an HDMI slot. You also get Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth.
Hopefully that brings that buffer down. What? Oh my God. What the fuck? What?
$17.23. One notification. $17.24. One notification. $17.24. 3 notifications.
Sorry about that lovely interruption. My family picks
I've
the worst
built in as
timing
well.
for shit.
Another thing you'll notice with this design are all the little perforations on the back, as well as the perforated circular base to help with thermal management. The Studio can run off of the M1 Max and M1 Ultra, and the numbers that Apple tossed around at the event and in the press release is just mind-blowing. I'll leave it on screen here for a second so that you can pause to read it, but
I'll pause, let y'all read this. Should have waited till then.
Voiceover YouTube 17 21 voiceover off.
Yeah, I did not know. I was not looking at Mac rooms.
3.5 millimeter high impedance headphone jack, and an HDMI slot. You also get Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth.
So there was my lovely mother yelling at me when she knows for a damn fact I'm doing a stream. So there was my lovely mother yelling at me when she knows. I keep telling them that stuff, but you know, ignorance is bliss, especially when you have the brain capacity of. Well, I'm not going to finish that one.
We'll be putting this machine up against the 16-inch MacBook Pro with M1 Max ASAP, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos on the upcoming products that Apple just announced.
That's going to be interesting. So, and I know where that's going to end. More than likely, I know where that's going to end. So go check it out, and you know, go check out Mac Rumors. They do pretty good stuff.
The M1 Max version of the Mac Studio starts at $19.99 and $39.99 for the M1 Ultra, and can be ordered right now with orders shipping next Friday.
I am surprised that that started out at $19.99 and then $39.99. I'm like legitimately surprised, especially with the M1 Ultra.
Alongside the Mac Studio came a new Studio display. The Studio display features an all-screen design with narrow borders in an all-aluminum enclosure like the 24-inch iMac. The display can be tilted up to 30 degrees, but if you want to customize the display, you can choose between a more versatile and adjustable stand for an additional $400, and there's also an option for nano textured glass for an additional $300. I believe it's at no extra cost if you want to go with a base amount instead, so you have these options at checkout if you want to do that. The screen itself features a 5K Retina resolution with 14.7 million pixels. It also has an anti-reflective coating and True Tone technology. The Studio display also contains the A13 Bionic chip to support its camera and audio system. That means it now has a 12 megapixel ultra-wide front-facing camera with center stage. The
Nice.
exact same that we just talked about with the iPad. With the 6-speaker setup on the bottom, the display contains 4 force-canceling woofers that minimize distortion and 2 high-performance tweeters featuring support for spatial audio with Dolby Atmos.
Wow, that's going to sound pretty.
1726 Mark Archer happens to everyone. Someone just walks in when you're streaming.
Yep.
1726 Mark Archer. I was thinking AirPods Pro 2nd Gen might have been mentioned.
No, I didn't. No. I was thinking possibly, you know, AirPods Pro, but then I was like, no, they wouldn't do that after they updated them with the MagSafe on the back for the wireless charger back in September. I was like, or no, that was when we got the M1 Pro and M1 Max, which was in October.
Also includes a 3 microphone array. The rear of the Studio display features 3 USB-C ports and a Thunderbolt port to connect peripherals. The display can deliver 96 watts of power to a notebook and can even fast charge the 14-inch MacBook Pro. You can connect up to 3 Studio displays to a single MacBook Pro if you want to. And the price for this display is at $15.99, which is a little bit more than what I was expecting, but still a pretty great option considering that the LG Ultrafine was around the same price point.
Yeah, that is actually not bad. I can't complain. So if you wanted to get a whole studio setup with an M1 Ultra and with the base M1 Ultra and then the screen studio setup like that's a pretty hefty price, but it pays to play. So you're looking at, you know, over almost a $4,000 setup.
Alongside the Mac Studio, the Studio display is available to order today, and orders will begin to arrive on March 18th.
And they joined the rest of our incredible Mac lineup with Apple Silicon, making our transition nearly complete with just one more product to go, Mac Pro.
There are also some new color options for cases.
Oh boy. Now that's going to be an interesting lineup when the Mac Pro drops. That one's going to, we know that's going to get MKBHD jumping up and down in joy and all the big high end creators.
26. Mark Archer. I was thinking AirPods Pro second gen might have been mentioned.
That I will be excited for that. The M1 the M1 going into the Mac Pro.
Apple Watches available right now on the App Store, along with some new keyboard and mouse color options. Actually,
so we got some new mouse and keyboard color options, new Apple Watch bands.
It's just black and silver. For those who are picking up a new Mac Studio and you want to get a cleaner look to your peripherals, those are available as well. And that's it. Please be sure to let us know what you think of everything that was announced at this event in the comments down below. And be sure to subscribe again so you don't miss any of the coverage that we will have on the iPhone SE, the iPad Air, the Mac Mini, and the Mac Studio and the Studio Display. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.
Yep. So iOS 15.4 also came out. Like I said, it's out to public beta testers and all that. I was not prepared for that one. So I said it's more than likely was. If not, it should have been out by now. And the update came in at about 5.12 gigabytes coming from beta 5 on the iPad Pro, 11-inch 2018 model. And then let me pull up the screenshot on my iPhone 13 Pro Max. On the 13 Pro Max, it came in at 5.25 gigabytes coming from beta 5. Sorry for the inconvenience there. Someone came into my, bombarded my stream setup and stuff like that, but it happens to the best of us. But hey, it is what it is. The wind knocked over some stuff. We're getting some storms over the next few days, so it's going to be, we got to prepare for that. And literally on Saturday, we're going to have a high of 70, and it's going to drop from 70 degrees at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, all the way down to 28 at night. Gotta love the spring. But that's Apple's event in a nutshell. Let me see if we got any other stuff. I know all the creators are none of them going to be doing unboxings and stuff like that because, it's
Voiceover on. Jason T. Lewis, painfully honest, tech uploaded. Apple Peak Performance. Taylist of Tech uploaded 3 new videos. New notification.
Let's see.
Video player. Playing it for top. Voiceover off.
Scratchy.
Oh, I hate ads some days. I may buy YouTube Premium because of the reactions that I do now. So I want to see what Talos of Tech, I know he commented on my videos before. I want to see what he posted, and it's not letting me skip the ad. Just give me a sec. Beauty of recording these things live. It's not fun.
Hit it out of the park, and I have a whole lot less trust in the Mac. Well, turns out Luke Miani hit it out of the park, and I have a whole lot less trust in the Mac rumor source because.
Oops. So here is Drew's video. I'll leave a link to it in a sec. Let me update the description while I'm at it. Of course, the Mac fell asleep because that's what my Mac does best.
Well, turns out, look.
Give me 1 sec to update this.
Menu, one item. You are current. No visible titles. Menu, one item. Menu, one item. No visible titles. Interact. Menu, one item.
Now,
Voiceover off.
I'm starting to hate this Chrome stuff.
Menu, what? Raid history. Interactive tabs from up. Intro. Clear browsing data. Interactive. Out of group. Raid history. Raid history. Intro. In raid history. Interactive. Raid history. Raid history. Out of raid history. Clear browsing data. Out of group. You are currently out of group. To interact with items.
This is not what I wanted. Quit doing that to me. Why do you focus to that voiceover? Like, seriously.
Voiceover off.
This is what I'm hating about voiceover. It focuses to one little damn thing. There. Now I'll do this. There we go. So here is Talos of Tech's video. I'll leave a link to it down below. Give me 1 sec to pull it up so I can copy the link.
Voiceover. Talos of Tech. Words. Talos of Tech. Current. Talos of Tech. Talos of. Screen curtain on. Screen curtain on.
Gianni hit it out of the park, and I have a whole lot less trust in the Mac rumor source because pretty much everything that Luke talked about yesterday ended up happening, and then some. A few disappointments, but a lot of surprises and a lot of things I was very happy to see. This is primarily going to be all about why the Mac Studio is the coolest Mac ever. Let's begin. I guess similar to Apple, we should get the boring stuff out of the way first. The iPhone SE, pretty much like clockwork, has 5G now. There's new color options that aren't really that new. It's just midnight and starlight instead of black and white. Okay, it's got 5G. It's got the A15 chip. That allows for smart HDR4 and I guess slightly better video recording. But the more important thing is that they have actually, allegedly, physically increased the battery capacity on the inside to account for 5G. So at least comparing the new iPhone SE3 to other iPhones in the lineup, you should expect the battery life on the SE3 to be on par with the iPhone 12 mini, which a lot of people had issues with, but I think for the lower starting price.
Okay, that I was worried about. That is actually
Battery life video. Rumors here are the videos. Rumors video. Battery 200 text field is editing. iOS 15. Video comp live. Battery. Talos battery. 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 Live. Select delete.
to pick that up.
Space.
That I was wondering about.
Space. Talos misspelled.
Tech.
Space. Attachment. Delete.
People are going to be more okay with it, but that got an increase, by the way. iPhone SE3 starts at $429 instead of $399, so I guess that's just inflation doing its work on the iPhone SE. No changes to the storage options, although they did revive the 256 gig tier, which was originally with the SE2. I'm glad the battery life has improved, but it's still not going to be as good as even the iPhone 13 mini. But I was really, really worried there for a minute that, you were just going to add 5G and the battery was going to be even worse because of it. Thanks to the A15 chip being more power efficient and the fact that they said that they physically increased the capacity, I think that it should be better than it was on the SE2. That are somewhat.
Yeah, it should be. It actually, 5G will be a pain in the rear. You're gonna wish it wasn't like all that. The 5G is gonna be the annoying part, which is gonna suck, but it could be worse. It could honestly be worse because you could just leave 5G on constantly to 5G on and really pay the battery a good favor, or you could turn it off. You could turn off the actual 5G stuff.
Interesting thing was the iPad Air 5, which now, of course, finally has center stage and 5G, but kind of pulling a quick one on everyone, Apple threw in the M1 chip. We were all expecting A15, and they were like, no, we want more overkill performance in the iPad line. So I personally think the M1 chip is unnecessary in the iPad Pro line, and I personally also think it's unnecessary in the iPad Air, but there's still enough differences, in my opinion, between the 11-inch.
I still don't know why. To this day, we are at the most laggiest frame per second stupid video. I don't know why.
17:36. Jared Maxfield. Message deleted. 17. Dismiss. Jared Maxfield. Voiceover off.
These fools are subbed to the channel. That's cute.
17:26. Mark Archer. I was thinking AirPods Pro 2nd Gen.
Thank you, Nikita.
Oh, and the 10.9-inch Air that I don't think it's going to cannibalize anything. I mean, there will probably be new refreshed iPad Pros in 6 months. Plus, the main reason people go with an iPad Pro is usually because of Face ID, 120 hertz, or the better cameras, or LiDAR, or Thunderbolts, or the larger size option with mini LED and that kind of stuff. So I don't think the fact that the iPad Pro and iPad Air have the same silicon is really going to mess that much up, especially considering the iPad Air 5 still has 64 gigs by default. The price...
I was not I wish it would have went up, not gonna lie, to 128 base storage, but it is what it is. Like I said, the USB-C port is what saved it, so you can connect external drives.
Didn't change, which is good. It's still $599, but the fact that they're making M1 chips coupled with 64 gigs of storage, that's never happened before. That's new. And even that, they're non-binned M1 chips. Like they still have 8 GPU cores. They're not the 7-core GPUs of
Yeah, that is strange.
like the entry level MacBook Air. So it's like a fairly high end version of the M1. Just coupling it with small storage and putting it in a $600 iPad is kind of interesting. But yeah, for those of you who just may by chance be using LumaFusion all the time with your iPad and will appreciate those faster speeds, I guess now there's an option for you. But of course, also there's purple and like a muted blue. There's just a little bit more variety with the colors now. Still not really feeling it. I prefer my iPad Pro and I like
Drew, we know you like your 120 hertz. Keep having fun with it. Not everyone's going to want the 120 hertz, and not everyone actually gives a care. Just saying. Because I have 120 hertz on an iPad Pro, the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I honestly, it's not the end of the world for me.
120 hertz. So I'm not going to say that Air 5 is worth it over a certified refurbished 2018 iPad Pro, but if you don't care about 120 hertz or Face ID and you need it to be new or colorful from Apple for whatever reason, yes, now you have a pretty decent option. They also introduced 2 new colors for the iPhone 13 lineup. We had been hearing that the regular 13 and 13 mini were going to get a green option, but I was very surprised to see Apple bring in this like alpine green color for the Pro series. That kind of caught me off guard. I was just thinking,
I think it caught us all off guard. That to be fair, caught us all off guard.
it was going to be for the entry iPhone. So very happy that there are more color options out there. They're not really for me, but happy that they exist. But let's talk about the real meat of this show. Apple bringing.
Now I want to see. This is why I'm reacting to Drew's video of Talos of Tech, because I want to see what his thoughts are on this Mac Studio.
The studio naming to the Mac line. And personally, I think this is like one of the coolest Macs Apple has ever come up with in recent history because the Mac Studio doesn't really fit into any previous category we've seen in the past few years. It's this perfect space, in my opinion, between the Mac Mini and the Mac Pro, which I think are a little bit too underclocked or underperforming on one end and a little bit too overclocked and overperforming on the other. Now, starting at $2,000, we have this mid-tier box, which is just a little bit bigger than a Mac Mini, but it starts with an M1 Max chip. This is a big deal for me because before, the cheapest way to get the M1 Max was in a MacBook Pro, 14 inches, and it basically had to be over $3,000. Now, the fact that you can access the same performance of that chip in a $2,000 tower is just mind-boggling. Like, no other PC of that size or really that close to that price point is going to be as efficient and as fast with the GPU cores, and not to mention have Thunderbolt options so plentiful. The I/O is fantastic on the Mac Studio. 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back with 10 gigabit Ethernet, still HDMI.
I will give him that. That is fantastic. It's finally seeing Apple actually do something instead of taking ports away like they have been from 2016 onward.
2.0, which is a bit of a bummer, but the headphone jack, which of course is still supporting high-end audio speakers, not to mention SD card slot and 2 more USB-C ports on the front. And for your legacy cables, you still got 2 USB-A on the back. Like, this is iMac Pro levels of connectivity. And with the M1 Max version of the Mac Studio, they're just regular USB-C ports on the front, but still, 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back of the Mac Studio is more Thunderbolt ports than we've ever seen on any Apple Silicon before, which is great, meaning you could plug in like a ton of Pro displays and a 4K TV at the same time. But it gets even better if you opt for a brand new chip that I just have to mention. I called it before. I got a lot of things wrong. I was predicting the Mac Studio thing wouldn't be right. But back last year, I made a video predicting that Apple was going to make the M1 Ultra. That ended up being the exact naming they chose with, which resulted in basically the suspicion many people were having, which was that the M1 Max has these ways of stitching to other chips if they want to daisy chain them fairly easily. So Apple has figured out a way to
Okay, so to everyone, one of my moderators had to go, but all right, Nikita. And on top of that, this is pretty cool that he had a daisy that they did not daisy chain them together. They actually had the die connected through the way they designed it with the engineers at Apple. And another thing is I'm going to try to work on fixing this buffering issue that's going on where it's all laggy.
Multiple Apple Silicon chips to each other and basically combine this performance power, which means the M1 Ultra is two M1 Maxes put together, which, yes, that means 16 high performance cores, 4 efficiency cores, and 64 GPU cores, 32 neural cores. Like, it's an insane amount of performance. The M1 Max was already like industry leading and shattering all these records. Now the M1 Ultra is actually performing similarly to an RTX 3090 and consuming like 100 watts less power. What's crazy is to think this isn't even the end of Apple Silicon. Like, it could keep going even further. But yeah, that chip as power.
Oh my lord. I don't even want to imagine that one. That will be interesting, to say the least.
As it is and how fast as it can be, it is actually going to end up costing quite a bit. So $2,000 for the M1 Max is awesome, but once you get into M1 Ultra territory, since you're paying for two M1 Maxes, it's basically twice the price. The cheapest M1 Ultra is $4,000, but the good news is all M1 Ultras come with 1 terabyte of storage by default. So if 1 terabyte is enough, you might not have to spend that much more. But I should also
Good. That's a good benefit.
mention the cheapest M1 Ultra for $4,000 is binned. It's a 48 core GPU instead of 64. And if you want a non-binned version of the M1 Ultra, they add on another $1,000 on top of that, meaning it's $5,000 to get, a fully unlocked M1 Ultra. And that starts with 64 gigs of RAM, but
That's pricey, but completely understandable.
can still opt for 128 gigs. And keep in mind, that's unified memory. So this is not traditional RAM. 128 gigs of unified memory is a lot. But what I found interesting about Apple doubling up on performance with like basic.
So if we go with the basic math, 8 gigs of unified memory equals to the efficiency of 16 gigs of standard memory. 32 would equal to 64 gigs of standard memory. 128 is probably going to equal to about if you had 256 gigs of RAM, like actual RAM, not the unified memory.
Two M1 Maxes stitched together that allows for double the RAM and double the CPU, double the GPU. In terms of storage, though, they didn't want to budge. It still maxes out at 8 terabytes. Most people probably don't need 16 terabytes of local storage, but I would also make the argument most people don't need 16 high performance cores. So if someone wants to get crazy with speccing out their Mac Studio, I think they should be able to. But I guess 8 terabytes is enough. I mean, I haven't filled up mine yet, so I'm one to talk. But thanks to having two M1 Maxes in the M1 Ultra, the 2 USB-C ports on the front.
Well, and you also have external drives you can fill up too, because I have an external SSD that I added all my stuff locally on.
The Mac Studio are actually Thunderbolt if you're willing to shell out that extra cash. So if you spend $4,000 or more on the Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra, basically you're getting 6 Thunderbolt 4 ports on a single device.
Damn.
That is just insane for Apple Silicon and gives you access to all kinds of additional hardware. Apple said that they cared about modularity with this thing, but I don't think that means opening it up and adding things to the inside. It was primarily just about you can plug in a bunch of extra accessories. Like, I have never seen 6 Thunderbolt ports on a machine this small. I think the Mac Pro may have come close to that, but again, that started at $6,000 and came with 256 gigs of storage. And of course, could be spec'd up to $50,000. And the funny thing about that is Apple compared the M1 Ultra to the fastest CPU you could get in a Mac Pro and the best GPU you could get, and M1 Ultra beats it by quite a large margin. It's like 60 to 90% fast.
Yikes! Ouch! And you probably bought that in 2019, and that sucks. Ooh, that burns. That burns. That burns. That burns. Even though I didn't buy that. Yeah, wow. Ooh, I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen.
Than the most expensive Mac Pro possible. So they even teased at the very end of the event, which I thought was awesome. They were like, and the Mac Pro is coming later. So they admit, like, this is the last step and it's for another day. But honestly, even though they haven't refreshed it yet, I'm just like,
watch the Mac Pro come at quadruple UDC. Or as some people want me to say it, WWDC. Because, Drew likes to say it too. I mean, hey, it is what it is. But watch the Mac Pro be announced with an M1 Ultra chip or some other bizarre name that they could do at DubDub. Just watch and watch Dub Dub be announced probably at the end of this month. I'm putting my coins on the 29th, which I believe is a Tuesday.
Why is the Mac Pro still on the website? Like, that thing is far more expensive than the Mac Studio, and it doesn't even have an SD card slot. It's much bigger. It's much less efficient. I guess there's probably someone out there that wants Boot Camp for some diehard reason or needs Intel for the x86 architecture. But at this point, with M1 Ultra being in existence, I think people should really start realizing to switch over their software. And if you don't start adopting to the ARM architecture and optimizing for Apple Silicon,
You're gonna get screwed over later.
and you're going to be paying a crap ton of money for it, and that's going to kind of suck that you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars more because we don't feel like optimizing for ARM. We want to keep using x86. Look at the performance gains we're getting on the M1 Ultra. For a fraction of the price, you can get industry-leading graphics and processing power. So there should be a lot of incentive for software engineers and different third-party companies to switch over their code to the ARM architecture and Apple Silicon optimized as soon as possible. Overall, I think the Mac Studio is the star of the show, but I should, of course, mention Apple basically rebranded the 27-inch 5K iMac into a studio display. And I haven't seen many people play it that way because, of course, the studio display looks new and looks clean, and I have a lot of thoughts on it. But essentially, the panel in the studio display is the exact same panel Apple has been using in all their previous 5K iMacs for years. It's 60 hertz, which is kind of a deal breaker for me. It's just been
Oh, please. It's a display. Jesus. You can live with one display not being 120 hertz.
LCD. There's no mini LED, and it peaks out at around 500 nits, and it's not like an HDR certified display. It still supports.
Okay, I will. Yeah, it's a little rough for that being 1,599. That's a little rough. That is that I will do. That kind of that's just my preference. A little bit rough for being 500 nits. I could get 750 or even up to 1,000 nits, or supporting HDR.
Decent number of colors, and I'm not saying the 5K iMac displays were bad, but
Neither am I. I'm not saying they're bad. It's just, I'd expect a little bit of an upgrade.
there's just not much new display specifications to talk about. Pretty much every other aspect of the monitor has been improved. There is a center stage camera, 12 megapixel ultra wide, which I love. Thank you,
Which
Apple,
is better.
for bringing that to the external monitor business, and tons of speakers baked into the bottom of this thing. See, guys, it's possible to have speakers and not have a chin. Although there's no chin, it's actually a bit thicker bezel than the Pro Display XDR, likely to accommodate for that webcam and the speakers, and also the studio quality microphones they baked into this thing. It has an A13 chip on the inside, which is basically just being used as the image signal processor. Like, it helps them manage center stage, and it helps them make sure the content looks good and with voice isolation and all that. And that's pretty much all it does. I was thinking with the A13 chip in there, they would have a mode where you could turn it into an Apple TV, because tvOS is currently running on an A12 chip, so switching it to A13 should be even better. Or if there was going to be some like low latency AirPlay features with it, but no, not even that. It's just A13 chip for webcam and speakers and microphones. That's pretty much all it's there for. It has 3 additional USB-C ports on the back, and it comes with a charging capable Thunderbolt port, which I love, which means if you are interested in the studio display, it'll come with that cable, which I think is braided, and you plug it into the Thunderbolt port on the back and plug that into your MacBook Pro. It will charge the MacBook Pro, so you don't even have to use the braided MagSafe that your MacBook Pro came with. That becomes useless very quickly. But one port to do up to 96 watts of power and have a 5K signal at 60 hertz, which is pretty dang impressive. I like everything about the monitor other than the fact that they kept it at 60 hertz. And yes, thank God they're actually including the stand on this one. I think they were getting a little bit tired of the Pro Stand memes, and they were just about ready to move on from that. So there's like a 24-inch iMac looking stand, and there's also, for only $400 more, a height and tilt adjustable stand. So I found that interesting. It's soldered into the monitor itself, so it's not like interchangeable customizable like the Pro Stand is, but it basically works the same way the Pro Stand does. And of course, you can still opt for the VESA mount kit if you're planning on mounting it to something. That doesn't lower the price at all. It's still $1,600 regardless, but I would say considering it's only $300 more to get nano textured glass instead of the traditional glossy, these are some of the lowest prices we've seen for an Apple standalone monitor in a long time. We've gotten so accustomed to the $6,000 Pro display and the $1,000 stand over the past couple of years. It's very refreshing to see Apple making a standalone monitor under $2,000 again. Sure, it would have been nice if it was 1,000, but I think with inflation the way it is, it's probably just unrealistic to assume that's possible. But the fact that you get so much with that external monitor, like I really wanted center stage on my MacBook Pro, but now if I dock it with the studio display, I kind of get that feature back. It just comes at the cost of no mini LED and 60 hertz, which isn't going to bother most people, but that personally might bother me a lot because I was just so happy with how the display panel was on my MacBook Pro, and the fact that Apple is now selling a solution, but you have to compromise still on your dynamic range and your refresh rate if you want an external monitor. I was hoping the bezels along the border could be a tad thinner, but that's not really the major issue. Either way, I'm very excited to check them out. I have ordered the Mac Studio and Studio Display. I'm not planning on necessarily keeping them forever, but just like reviewing them for the channel and letting you.
I'll be curious what he thinks about that, which I'm probably not going to react to that. That's going to be something that I'll check out on my own.
Guys know my thoughts on how they look and feel, but it's cool to think at a spring event, Apple launched M1 Ultra and basically the most powerful Mac ever. It beats
That I'm glad that this event I was not sick at, but the last one that they did last year during the springtime, the 420 event, I had a cold.
out every configuration of the cheese grater Mac Pro, and in the next couple months hopefully we'll see Apple daisy chain 4 M1 Maxes together, and that's when you could maybe start seeing 256 gigs of RAM and 128 GPU cores, and that will likely be a larger machine, and I'm guessing not that modular. But knowing that the Mac Studio is not like fully unlocked is quite interesting, and the fact that they advocated as to why this is a much better Mac than the 27-inch iMac, which is also removed from the site. They're no longer selling any Intel iMacs at this point. The only Intel Macs on the web.
Yay! The 27-inch has now died.
Site are the Space Gray Mac Mini, which is using very, very old Intel processors, which aren't even being built anymore. So I have the feeling they just have a bunch of those stockpiled in a warehouse, and they're just trying to get rid of them. And of course, the cheese.
Please buy my Intel Mac Mini. I need to get rid of my darn stockpile. No, just kidding. Go get an M1 MacBook Air or Mac Mini today.
Mac Pro, which they already referenced at this event, is next up. Like that's what their next focus is going to be for Apple Silicon. So this is a really exciting time. I don't know what they're going to brand that chip. It's cool to see.
This is good. This is a crazy exciting time to live in.
There's something ahead of Macs. We get iPhone Ultra, iPad Ultra, MacBook Ultra now. But yeah, they made it fairly clear that this new chip pretty much is optimized for desktop.
He's finishing up his video, but you know, this is. I'm excited to see this go down. I'm excited to see, you know, all this happen and stuff like that. And I'm going to figure out why this machine is buffering when I do stream. Hopefully it's not due to the GPU on this Mac. If it is, damn, something knows how to bring it down. And it could be Restream doing it within you know, a different browser. I'm gonna work on seeing if I can do it just straight through Safari and see what happens with that. But that's that, and you know, there's not much else going on with, you know, all this fun jazz of everything. And you know, I'm gonna switch back and forth real quick. I want to see if this is really stuttery. All right. So I'm going to get rid of you. Get out of here. Thank you. So that's my thought. My thoughts are I'm tempted with the iPad Air 5. I don't know if I'm going to buy it yet. I'm going to have to look at, you know, more stuff. Eventually look at reviews and stuff like that, and, you know, go based on my thoughts of, you know, should I get it as a secondary iPad? Because I want to see if, you know, if it's worth getting over the iPad Pro. Now, my iPad Pro does have 120 hertz refresh rate. and that is nice to have and all. I'm not really that 100% worried about it or really 100% care about it. And it's crazy that it's 6 o'clock and the sun's still out. Spring is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Spring is upon us. Let me see if it was stuttering when I was switching between. Yeah, it is. That is really not good. I wonder if it's my internet doing it. Like my internet is so strong that it's causing something to crash somewhere. I'll do a test stream on another platform on my other channel and work on and see if it's something to do with this browser doing this because something is really not efficient at all with the GPU and it's causing it to just shred itself. But regardless of the fact, thank y'all so much for watching. Sorry for the interruption earlier in the stream. My mom does not realize that I was streaming probably, or she just doesn't give a care, and that's just the disrespect in that regards. But the next stream I'll be doing on an Apple event is Dub Dub, which is in 4 months. Good grief. I can't believe we're already 3 months into the year. But iOS 15.4, I'll be doing my what's new video on that for next week. My follow up on the RC will be coming out this weekend, and I'll let y'all know should you install and stuff like that. So thank y'all so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed this video and hope y'all enjoy the new features that I put into the channel for more safety guidelines to stop harassments and other stupid things from going down. Give me a sec to take care of this. So yeah, I will be doing other stuff and testing things out to see if we can fix the buffering stuff. But anyways, peace.